pain, suffering, an unfeeling of rage towards a certain faction of cannibals. This is what Kenshi is to me. My name is unimportant, and you are currently watching 100 Days in Kenshi. I really just wanted to build a nice settlement. And also, just to generally beat up on the cannibals that previously wounded my pride in the past. I did not start the challenge on day 0. I started on day 63, mainly because I didn't have full faith that I could pull it off, so I didn't record it. But things change, and people change, and people get stronger, and this is what happened. Blah 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 blah. And it all was because of those 63 days training to defeat them. Here you go. This is what I did. In those 63 days, I commanded Grand, the Sheik of the Godless faction, to train by mining iron ore and running around with it to train his strength. And then I had him travel to dangerous lands to train his toughness. After the training, I needed to start a capital for the settlement, so I sent him to the Deadlands ruin, where he found loot we didn't need, but the loot we deserved. After selling the loot, it was time to start the creation of the settlement. Side note, I will be describing what happened in groups of days, because I want to. There is no other reason, I promise. Okay, with that, let's get into this. Days 63 to 73. I decided to build the settlement near World's End in a crater-like area, whose name would be Flawless Lawless. And there I set up a shock shelter, a research station, and a stone mine, and a stone processor which would turn the raw stone into building materials. I sent Grand up to World's End to recruit a new member. We found them in a bar. Their name is Birmingham, a hive warrior. While I was trying to train Birmingham, Bomb for short, Bomb and Grand got assaulted non-stop via the Holy Empire, which at this point in time hated the Godless faction because of a little mishap where Grand entered a Holy Nation's outpost, killed 5 Holy Servants. It's not worth talking about in full details. After that whole thing, Grand and Bomb went back to the settlement and started researching walls and other useful storage systems. I started to design the early stages of the wall defense. While building the walls, some starving bandits decided to wander in, and then soon a Holy Nation raid decided to attack, which of course, we lost. Days 73 to 84. I got Grand and Bomb to defeat a river raptor, then mined some iron ore for Bomb to train his strength. After that, I sent Grand on an adventure into an ancient lab, where he got his shit kicked in via the security spiders, so he had to end up hiding under a ramp. While that was happening, Bomb was attacked by cannibals, so they had to drop everything and run away. Then on Bomb's journeys back to Flawless Lawless, he was attacked by bone dogs, so they had to drop everything and run. Grand ran away from the ancient lab and got back to the base, where the power squad slaughtered some river raptors. Some success for once. Then they headed off to explore the surrounding villages, where they found a ghost village. In the ghost village lay tons of items left by the unfortunate residents that disappeared, possibly because they were close to a certain capital city. The profits from the failed village would help Flawless Lawless prosper. After Bomb rested for a while, the power squad headed back home, where they started construction on an iron processor. I also started to think we'd need an additional member to aid in researching, as I had the other 2 members doing engineering and general labor. So the squad headed up to World's End, where we recruited Orsum, a hive prince that was perfect for researching. They then built some windmills for powers in a weaponsmith, where I would eventually get Grand to train his weaponsmithing. Soon after the construction, another Holy Nation raid took place, where we got completely wrecked, with Grand getting both his arms destroyed and both Orsum and Bomb laid on the ground dying. So I decided to reload. This time, I used the power of speed. It got Orsum to lead the holy bullies around the base while Grand fought. This time, everything worked out great, with us still losing, but hey, no one died. In my books, that's a pretty good outcome. After that grand victory, I decided to take a victory picture with the squad, each holding a defeated Holy Nation over their shoulder. Victory. We also sold all the gear from the Holy Nation's troops. It's only fair. Days 84 to 94. Orsum went to gather some supplies from an abandoned Holy Nation mine, where they were chased by the Holy Nation troop and saved starving bandits, not surviving bandits, because they didn't survive. Bomb and Grand did some exploring, fought a lot of animals, and found a ninja village. Also, I think I did a duplicate glitch because I had dropped some items to run away from cannibals, as I mentioned before, I remember Bomb picking the items back up. But a few days later, Bomb was running back to Flawless Lawless after selling some items, and they happened across the items I recall picking up. I could be wrong, I'm very unsure. Anyways, after researching wall level 2, I built in my mind a good defense with 2 gates and 3 crossbows facing in the middle of the 2 gates. I decided to move the shock shelter over because it was getting in the way of my grand defense plan. If Flawless Lawless would stand the sands of time, we would need to become self-sufficient. So I started on a farm to grow green fruit, wheat, and cotton for fabric. Sent Bomb off to Stout, a United city where we would hopefully find green fruit to build the farms with. Bomb waited for the shop to open by running back and forth just for a bit of fun. After getting the goods, it was back to Flawless Lawless. Flawless Lawless and his residents were starting to become a thing that exists. Oh yeah. Days 94 to 106. Bomb began his day by watching Orsum and Grand construct the new exterior light poles, which would hopefully aid in the speed of production at night. I then decided that the power squad was too weak, so I had them train strength by my normal methods, gathering iron ore, carrying defeated cannibals, and stealthing up to World's End, then back to the iron ore deposit. They continued to do this till day 103. Then it was back to Flawless Lawless, where we took a progress photo. Afterwards, we built a food house where all the settlement's food would be made and stored. All was peaceful until the river raptors attacked, causing me to remember a sage's advice of don't let the river raptors get to your farms, cause like you and me, they eat. So we dispatched the first wave of raptors. Then a second wave hit, causing some disorder, but we were able to defeat them. And then the third wave attacked, the biggest, but because of our amazing skills, they felt like the others. While killing these raptors, I realized I didn't place down the stove to cook food cubes at. So bam! The green fruit started to be harvested by Bomb. Soon we would be able to produce our own food. I got Grand to start his weaponsmithing training, and I got Orsum to do a cool corpse loot compilation. Then they Naruto ran up to World's End to sell the fine pelts. Soon after, we started the construction of more food producers like wheat fields, grain grinder, and bread ovens to produce the legendary food cubes. Then the River Raptor Nation attacked again. Luckily, Sosin's common was not to pass by for another few years. They were very easily defeated. That didn't stop them from marching into Flawless Lawless again, just to get one delicious bite of green fruit. Sadly, on the quest, they were finally defeated and would never return until they did. But that's a story for another time. Anyways, we finally got fabrics to build beds, which would increase the speed of healing to 4 times speed. Pretty incredible. Days 106 to 113. Grand decided to go exploring a destroyed village where he was attacked by one cannibal and a group of starving bandits. When he arrived at the devastated village, he found nothing there. So he headed towards a cannibal village where Grand slaughtered, and then he ran away because he's not that strong yet. On his way back home, he fought Holy Nation troops. He lost, and then he fought some more, lost, and then he returned home. Pretty much that's how the rest of the days went for Grand. Just one big fight and recuperate loop. While Grand was doing that, Orsum and Bomb made our first ever food cube, which is a major step in the right direction for Flawless Lawless. Grand decided to try his luck against a security spider, which he won. After the victory of 2 dead security spiders, Grand checked if Burn was in his tower, which for some reason, they were not, so Grand left without taking anything, because Grand is not a thief, unless you're a cannibal or part of the Holy Nation. Grand continued on to the next tower that was not owned by anyone. It was long abandoned. He found lots of loot, including a new gas mask. Afterwards, Grand got a big head because of his ability to kill security spiders, and ran off to the ancient lab to get some sweet revenge. He lost and returned to Flawless Lawless. Grand also got some stealth gear for Orsum while he was out on his journey. As soon as he got back, he handed it over to Orsum. Also, Grand looks epic with his new headgear, the gas mask. I sent Grand over to Stout to recruit new members. Along the way, Grand fought a cannibal and a dust bandit. If you have ever played Kenshi before, you know that United cities are just the worst, with slavers everywhere and a noble population who just go out with large squads of samurai to hunt down unsuspecting innocent people. God, I hate them, but they need to be tolerated for now. Anyways, we recruited Hamlet, a human who despises slavers, and Jakku, another high prince. I put them both in the new squad Townfolk and set them off to Flawless Lawless. Along the way there were a couple mishaps, where Jakku may have been defeated by some dust bandits and Hamlet may have been attacked by everything in the desert. So I sent Grand and Jakku over his shoulder to home, and I got Orsum to come and retrieve Hamlet. Eventually everyone returned to Flawless Lawless alive, not unhurt. Then I got Jakku and Hamlet working on the farms after they both rested up. While Grand and Bomb were out of town at World's End getting backpacks for Jakku and Hamlet, a raid of scrawny cannibals attacked, causing me to realize the gates I was so proud of were total trash. The cannibals broke the gates down in seconds, and the turrets didn't even take down a single cannibal. So I got Orsum, Hamlet, and Jakku to flee from Flawless Lawless towards Grand and Bomb. That plan failed, and all but Grand were hauled off to be eaten, so I reloaded. I decided on a new plan, unlocking the doors of the research house with 3 of them inside. For some reason, the cannibals didn't want to check the house. With this, Grand charged into the cannibal hordes to gain revenge on the cannibals that, in another world, would have eaten his friends. With the cannibals defeated, Bomb gave Hamlet and Jakku their backpacks, and we celebrated the sweet victory over one of many cannibal raids. As soon as the celebration was done, I destroyed the useless gates, out of pure justified rage over its weak structure that broke onto iron bars held by weak, scrawny cannibals. Days 113 to 118. I decided to send Hamlet and Jakku to train their strength via my normal method, but along the way they were attacked by a bone dog, so I sent the power squad to aid them, and at the same time another raid of scrawny cannibals arrived. After the defeat of the bone dog, we waited till the cannibals realized that no one was home, which happened relatively quickly, so I got everyone to rest from the fight with the bone dog, and then started plotting my revenge on the cannibal hordes. But the cannibals got the jump on us again, so I had to reload and slaughter more cannibals. I realized I needed some kind of defense against the hordes, so I built a wall in which the cannibals would have to fight Grand instead of entering or leaving Flawless Lawless. And then I built another bread oven, because I deserve to think of something else other than my bloody rage that would never leave me every time I saw a cannibal, and I can only think bad thoughts. Like right now as I'm typing this, I can only think of very bad thoughts. Anyways, I got a brand new research bench that can aid in more production of iron plates that can be used to build harpoons to dismantle a cannibal on hit. Oh yes, the fun we will have. From days 115 to 118, Hamlet and Jakku trained their strength via the normal methods. A dead cannibal over one shoulder and lots of iron ore going from World's End to the iron deposit at the bottom of the mountain, and repeating. Days 118 to 124. While Grand, Hamlet, and Jakku started their trip back to Flawless Lawless, the Holy Nation attacked, causing Bomb and Orsum to hide in the research home, where they would be safe until the Holy Nation attacked the door, and a little fight took place where Bomb and Orsum lost, but survived. Then the Holy Nation left after beating up 2 people. That's why I don't hate them as much as the cannibals. The Holy Nation shows up to attack you, and then leaves without taking or eating anyone. A side note, the Nomad Beast Traders came to my defense. Honestly, Nomads are the best faction in the whole game. So I healed any Nomad faction members that I could. They earned that at the very least. A few of the Holy Nation troops got up from the rest and got put back down. Then I got another surprise attack via the cannibals, but this time I set up turrets on the top of the house where Orsum and Jakku could shoot as Grand slaughtered. This is the first time Flawless Lawless repelled an attack. I was very happy. All the cannibals had died. Then it was back to work, with the steel processor being created, and then another cannibal attack, with Flawless Lawless being ready this time. Another grand slaughter later, we got ready for the next wave of cannibals. Before the next raid arrived, Grand decided to follow an attacking cannibal back to the home base. Along the journey, Grand saw some weird bandits that looked straight out of Elden Ring. Just creepy, really. As we arrived at the cannibal's home at the suspicious lab, where there were a candy trail of good loot that led up to the most cannibals I have ever seen in a building. But it didn't matter. Grand slaughtered them all, then looted the place. He found on the top floor where the cannibals caged new food and stored gear from their victims. We gained a few things from the suspicious lab that would be useful later on. Now it's time to head back to Flawless Lawless to deposit the goods and tell the others of the great news. At Flawless Lawless, the cannibal raid began, but quickly finished with any attempt to break the door down, to be repelled with a bolt to the very mortal body. Afterwards, I started construction on a shelter where any who attacked us would stay till they vanished. Nothing sinister at all. I promised we would take care of their wounds and leave them to rest for weeks on end with no contact. The body incinerator placed right beside the doors just for decor. If you don't trust me, walk in there and... Oh no. It's free. Quickly, look below the video. The big gray subscription button. Click on it, quickly. It's the only way to stop it from escaping. Quickly, oh god. Oh no. You're too late. I set up some training dummies to get everyone's melee attack up, which would aid in the process of attacks hitting. Grand went out to find our first guest for the hotel, and then a horde of roaming cannibals showed up with no warning, so it was a bit chaotic until we won. Oh, I didn't? And the cannibals just left Grand, Hamlet, and Jakku alone, which is extremely weird for the cannibals to do, but I'm not complaining. Grand defeated some more starving bandits, and the group gathered to take a sweet I survived picture. Day 124 to 130. Don't know why I said it like that, but okay. The river raptors sensed this could be their chance and rushed towards the green fruit. Their bummerish failed. Again, shame. Good news, everyone. We have research harpoon turrets, which are just way deadlier than crossbow turrets. Never put a good raptor down though, because they're always hard at work trying to eat. This attempt failed. Finally, a river raptor got to the precious green fruit. It didn't get to taste it. Another failed quest. Gran headed off to a deadland workshop. Then I realized Gran had no food, so I sent him towards Stoat. Along the way, I spotted what appears to be an ancient lab. With my good experiences with labs, I broke the front door down and entered to see a large group of corrupted skeletons calling Grandmaster. One of the weirder things to find, but not bad at all, because that means tons of loot for the taking. Afterwards, Grand and his new party of skeletons headed over to Henge, another of the United cities. Along the way, the skeletons attacked any NPCs, so ninjas, bandits, and nomads, sadly. Luckily, what the skeletons didn't affect the godless faction, so as we arrived at the city of Henge, the skeletons attacked the city as a whole. While they did that, Gran sold the loot, bought some food, and gained a new recruit, Moo the farmer, a hive worker with high stats in farming. This time I decided to get Gran to carry Moo, so there was no chance of them getting hurt or killed. While Grand was heading towards Flawless Lawless, there was a cannibal raid waiting, so Grand hired some cannibal hunters for 2 days, but for some weird reason they stayed for longer. The cannibal raid went like all the rest. The cannibals lost, and Flawless Lawless won. That's simple, really. Also, I forgot about the friendly fire in the game, so when I saw Jakku shoot Grand with a crossbow turret, I thought it was just a powerful hit from a cannibal. This is going to come back and bite me. I got Moo all set up on the farms and training with the dummies when they were not working on the farms. Got a third guest in the hotel, checked on the other two. They said it's the best stay possible. I placed down 2 small cotton farms to start getting fabric and upgraded all the training dummies to level 3. Flawless Lawless started to get an overflow of food, so we started thinking of selling some. Grand made sure to check on the guests. They seemed to be doing great. While Grand was patrolling around the settlement, he encountered some starving bandits that didn't last long at all, and then a baby bone dog stole a bandit's arm and ran off with it. More cannibals attacked. They got dismantled via the harpoons, and while the cannibals were being destroyed, Moo was training their strength their normal way until day 130. Days 130 to 133. I forgot to record during the span of these days. Pretty much what happened was a Holy Nation raid where we defeated them, took their high paladin into the hotel as a 4th guest. Then I constructed the fort where everyone would gather if a raid occurred, with multiple harpoon turrets and crossbow turrets on the roof. Also we gained a pack bull, which we will call Betty, and I forgot to name her when I was buying her from the nomad beast traders. That is all that happened during this unrecorded time. Days 133 to 143. Batteries were placed within the fort. Another shock shelter was built to house the crossbow smith. Then Grand was off to slaughter some more cannibals. On his way, he saw quite a view. Kenshi sure has a beautiful sky. Yeah, it's pretty good. Anyways, Grand arrived at the cannibal village and defeated a bunch, looting the chests, which had very nice assassin rags in it. And then it was off to Shobete, because apparently cannibal chiefs are a thing, and each of them have a bounty of 10,000 cats. That's insane. After turning in the bounty, Gran headed to a Hive village to buy some chest armor for the Hive members of Flawless Lawless. After that, Gran went back to dispatching cannibals. There was no end to the slaughter till Gran went to sleep in a cannibal camp, and let me tell you, never sleep in a cannibal's camp, because a cannibal will just pick you up and place you on a stake. Luckily, Gran got out of it without being eaten. Gran didn't like that, so he made sure the cannibals would be incapable of doing that again, and he went back to sleep as a power move. I got a warning that cannibals were on the move to Flawless Lawless. It was a chance to test out the power of the fort, and also the inability of Betty climbing stairs. It's so painful. During the defense, Orson shot Bomb in the leg, and while they were being minorly incompetent, Gran was slaughtering more cannibals as he was heading back to Flawless Lawless. And shortly after putting Orson, Moo, and Bomb back on the turrets, Orson shot and killed Jakku. I was not going to live in the timeline where one of my guys killed the other, so I instead reloaded to save. This time, no one was going to be killed by Orson. It's so funny how bad they are at not hitting each other. Hamlet and Bomb got their legs destroyed, and Jakku got his soul sent to heaven. During all that, apparently they killed the war leader of the cannibals, so the rest ran. After a few more cannibal kills, Gran ended up in the fishing village north of Flawless Lawless, where he found a scared farmer called Greenfinger, who needed a farm that was well protected. No one under my control has died during this timeline, so pretty safe. Gran carried Greenfinger to Flawless Lawless and got Greenfinger some things to do like farming. I also started to train everyone in turrets so they would not hit one another. It helped somewhat. No one died. This time. Anyways, Gran got foolish ideas and ended up in front of the ancient labs, missing a right arm and bleeding out in the water. But that was just one big daydream. Gran just came to look at the ancient lab, nothing else, not to go into it. That would be a death wish. Another cannibal raid had arrived and left shortly after. Because of our complete and utter incompetence, we just saw how we were just constantly hitting each other. They just got spooked off. Gran decided to go and loot a dead workshop. But before that, Gran found a scout leg in a chest in the workshop he already looted. Then he was off to a hostile workshop where the corrupted skeletons defeated him. So he ran to the Black Desert City where the guards saved him. Gran gained a new fragment axe from a corrupted skeleton and then rested and headed back to the workshop where he fled back to the city where he rested. And then back to the workshop, then he fled back to the city where he rested and finally defeated the harpoon skeleton and then used the harpoon to take out the other harpoon skeleton. Now it is finally time to loot, and there was much loot, like a masterwork crossbow and a specialist samurai pants. After the looting, Gran headed back to Flawless Lawless. On the way, he was brutally attacked by many Holy Nation troops, and then he got home half dead. I wanted to create an actual defense gate system, so I got rid of the old entrance and created a more powerful one. Proud of the new entrance, I decided to take a progress picture at the entrance. Days 143 to 153. This is the first time the icon of the settlement changed for me. I'm so used to it being a village icon rather than a city. Also, fun fact I didn't know about, any items in a non-shop house in World's End are free to take, which is weird. Anyways, Gran attacked a Holy Nations farm, defeated the residents, and didn't take anything. This is not about the loot, this is about slowly destroying the Holy Nation. As Gran arrived back from the attack at the Holy Farm, another cannibal raid was at Flawless Lawless, where we had set up the new and improved defense system. It worked really well against smaller forces, but against a larger force, it would fall. Back to Gran's journey in the Deadlands, where he was attacked by more Holy Nation troops and ninjas, so when he finally arrived at Black Desert City, he headed straight upstairs to run to bed. Then he headed off to the Deadland workshop, where he opened a very great chest by breaking the lock with the tool picked up from World's End. Then it was back to Flawless Lawless. On the way, he fought ninjas and Holy Nation troops. Wow, deja vu. Feel like I've been in this place before. After a bit of rest in Flawless Lawless, Gran headed off to slaughter more cannibals. I do have to add, the liquid generation in Kenshi is amazing. Also, ray tracing. Hey look, another cannibal raid. Wow. Luckily, this was a small raid, so we didn't need Gran the Cannibal Slayer. Also, appears like some of the guests had vanished. Weird. While training, I decided to check on the bar at the fishing village if they had any new recruits. And they did, with a human named Hobbs who told Grand of a mythical creature to look out for. Hobbs ran back to Flawless Lawless, and Gran slowly walked back, killing several cannibals and accidentally hitting a river raptor. He healed the raptor immediately. I realized at Flawless Lawless I had been using the manual iron processor when I could have been using the iron processor, a different building. Kenshi. While I was gone for a bathroom break, Bomb and Hobbs were attacked by what I think are bone dogs, and I didn't realize they were down when I got back, so they could have died. Thankfully, I noticed before it was too late and saved Hobbs and Bomb's lives. I saw the suspect dogs roaming around the gates of Flawless Lawless, so I had Gran teach them a lesson with a katana, mainly because I forgot Gran was forging weapons, so he puts his blade away to carry weapons to storage. Bomb got assaulted by starving bandits while he lost against many. He rised up to win against one. I'm proud of his progress. Eventually, all of Flawless Lawless ran out to beat up on the bandits, asking for just a little food. A bigger cannibal raid occurred, which broke the gates, knocked out everyone but Grand, who slaughtered the ones who would attack Flawless Lawless. Another raid like the one before, this time Grand was ready, so only a few of the other residents were knocked out. Success in my books. Another raid like the one before, this time I was not ready for it, so we ran to the fort, but before the cannibals broke the inner gate, they retreated, another weird Kenshi thing. Then the group gathered for a progress picture, as sweat was wiped from my brow. Days 153 to 164. A cannibal raid to start things off. We destroyed them, and then Orsum went off to scout where the cannibals were coming from. Along the way, Orsum chased a Tarnished around. Then they found a ninja outpost, witnessing the fall of the outpost via beak things, the creatures from hell themselves, and then found the cannibal capital city, where the Grand Wizard lives. Grand tries to push into the city, but failed horrifically. Luckily, I can just reload. After that, 2 more cannibal raids, both failing with the defense finally getting good. Then the most frustrating thing happened, where Grand was in bed, and then he was abducted from Flawless Lawless. A cannibal walked in and grabbed Grand, and no one did anything about it, except for Hobbs, but he's not the best fighter. So of course, after I got back to the game, I got Grand to strike down all the cannibals and freed Hobbs. The cannibal camp somehow was built right beside Flawless Lawless, but it didn't matter. They didn't survive long enough to do anything else. Gran and I were quite angry, so we went to slaughter more cannibals, but at this point, Gran had killed so many, and it didn't faze them at all. They just kept coming. Anyways, Betty grew up to an adult. That's some good news at least. Then another cannibal raid was defeated, with only one cannibal glitching through the inner gate and getting harpooned. It was a pretty good shot. After another raid, another cannibal group dead, with only 2 of my residents being knocked out. At this point, my mental state was quite poor, so when an attack on the cannibal capital failed horribly, I cracked a little. I'm starting to despise Kenshi. I'm realizing why I stopped playing Kenshi. I'm kind of recognizing why my rage for Kenshi is so high. Like, right now, I would kill someone. I would literally put my hands around someone's neck and strangle them. But at the same time, I realized Kenshi is a game where you can do whatever your heart desires, from destroying a whole kingdom to living a simple farmer's life. I decided not to let the hordes of never-ending cannibals get to me. Just build a great settlement. I'm not trying to kill all the cannibals. I'm trying to build a great settlement in 100 days. That's my true goal. So, Gran put away his explorer's backpack and started to smith a pretty cool katana. A little bit later, a cannibal from a previous raid tried to run away. We sent him flying with harpoons. And then a Holy Nation raid began. The most satisfying defense so far, with the Holy Nation being held outside the inner gate as our harpoons took them out one by one. As the final day was coming to an end, I reflected on what we did, and honestly, I'm happy about all the work I put into Flawless Lawless. The residents who can now fend off a Holy Nation raid. Betty just looks so cool, so does everyone else. I really appreciate each of them. Jakku's ability to farm and man turrets came in handy a whole lot. Moo the farmer, great farmer, like the name details, just the best. Orsum, greatest at stealth in the group. Pretty fast too, fastest, like 28 miles per hour, that's insane. Grant, our guardian angel, who can say they're just the best fighter in the West. Bomb, the aspiring fighter. Green Finger's a great fighter, and also great with turrets and farming. Yeah, pretty skilled generally. Hobbs, they're not the strongest, but hey, you know what? Even though they lose an awful lot, they get into an awful lot of fights for other people. So you know what? They're honorable. That's what you can say at the very least. They don't win, but they don't give up. Hamlet's getting stronger. Side note, I just realized as I'm typing this, Flawless Lawless is settled in a place called Cannibal Plains. The irony. I hate cannibals so much, I decided to start the settlement on Cannibal Plains. God. You have reached the end of the video. Thank you for watching up till now. Or thank you for watching till the end, I should say. And if you feel pleased, mind dropping a like and subscription. Show that you're enjoying what I'm making, especially my new project, the 100-day settlement in Kenshi. So far, as I'm recording this, I have put in maybe 72 hours. It's gonna be a little bit more because I gotta do a few more editing things, but it doesn't matter to you in the future, you great people. You amazing, important folk. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my story of a 100-day settlement in Kenshi. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.